Greetings, all. It's another Friday and another Joe Lum movie review. I am Joe Lum. I personally want to thank everybody that viewed my revenge video from last week, making it the most viewed movie review since I started this back in October of last year. I want to keep that streak going when I review another Kevin Costner film, the epic western Dances with Wolves. When you're done watching this video, you can go back and watch previous movie review videos. The playlist is in the description box. Let's get to it. Dances with Wolves is a 1990 American epic western film starring, directed, and produced by Kevin Costner in his feature directorial debut. It's a film adaptation of the 1988 novel Dances with Wolves by Michael Blake that tells the story of a Union Army lieutenant by the name of John J. Dunbar, who travels to the American frontier to find a military post and who meets a group of Lakota. Costner developed the film with an initial budget of $15 million. Much of the dialogue is spoken in Lakota with English subtitles. It was shot from July to November of 1989 in South Dakota and Wyoming, and translated by Doris Leader Charge of the Lakota Studies Department in Cintic Leska University. Originally written as a speculative script by Michael Blake, it went unsold in the mid-1980s. However, Kevin Costner had starred in Blake's only previous film, Stacy's Nights, in 1983, and encouraged Blake in early 1986 to turn the Western screenplay into a novel to improve its chances of being produced. The novel was rejected by numerous publishers, but finally was published in paperback in 1988. The rights were purchased by Costner with an eye on directing it. Costner and his production partner Jim Wilson had difficulty in raising money for the film. The project was turned down by several studios due to the Western genre no longer being popular, following the disastrous box office of Heaven's Gate in 1980. As well as the length of the script, after the project languished at both Nelson Entertainment and Island Pictures due to budget reasons, Costner and Wilson enlisted producer Jake Eberts to manage foreign rights in several countries for Costner to retain final cut rights. The two then made a deal with Orion Pictures in which the studio would distribute the film in North America. Actual production lasted from July 17th or 18th to November 21st to 23rd of 1989. Most of the movie was filmed on location in South Dakota, mainly on private ranches near Pierre in Rapid City, with a few scenes filmed in Wyoming. Specific locations include the Badlands National Park, the Black Hills, the Sage Creek Wilderness area, and the Belfort River area. The bison hunt scenes were filmed at the Triple U Buffalo Ranch outside Fort Pierre, South Dakota, as were the Fort Sedgwick scene on a custom set. The movie begins in 1863. First Lieutenant John J. Dunbar, serving with the Union Army, is wounded in battle at St. David's Field in Tennessee. The surgeon intends to amputate his leg. Choosing death in battle instead, Dunbar steals a horse and rides it in front of Confederate lines. The Union Army takes advantage of this distraction to mount a successful attack. Dunbar is given medical care that saves his leg and is awarded Cisco, the horse he rode in during the suicide attempt, along with his choice of posting. He requests a transfer to the American frontier so he can see it before it disappears. Dunbar arrives at Fort Hays, where its commander, Major Fambrough, assigns him to the furthest outpost under his jurisdiction, Fort Sedgwick. Fambrough, who is mentally ill, kills himself after Dunbar departs. Dunbar travels with Timmons, a mule wagon provisioner, and finds the fort deserted. He decides to rebuild the fort, recording his observations in his diary. Timmons is killed by a band of Pawnee while returning to Fort Hays. The deaths of Timmons and Fambrough leave the army unaware of Dunbar's assignment, so no other soldiers arrive to reinforce the post. Dunbar encounters his Sioux neighbors when they attempt to steal his horse and intimidate him. Wanting to make peace, he seeks out the Sioux camp en route. He comes across stands with a fist. a white ethnic Sioux woman who was adopted as a girl by the tribe's medicine man Kicking Bird after her family was killed by the Pawnee. She is mutilating herself in mourning for her late Sioux husband. Dunbar brings her back to the Sioux to recover, though the tribe is initially hostile. Dunbar gradually establishes a rapport with them, particularly Kicking Bird, the warrior, wind in his hair, and the youth smiles a lot. Stands with a fist acts as an interpreter, speaking the Lakota and English languages. Dunbar comes to respect and appreciate the Sioux. He is accepted into the tribe after he tells them of a migrating herd of buffalo and participates in the hunt. He also befriends a wolf he dubs Two Socks, known for its white forepaws. Observing Dunbar and Two Socks chasing each other, the Sioux gave him the name Dances with Wolves. Dunbar learns the Lakota language, forges a romantic relationship with Stands with a Fist, and supplies the tribe with firearms to defend them from the rival Pawnee tribe. He eventually earns Kicking Bird's approval to marry Stands with a Fist. Because of the threat of encroaching white settlers, Chief Ten Bears decides to move the tribe to its winter camp. Dunbar decides to accompany them, but first goes to retrieve his diary from Fort Sedgwick, as it would help the U.S. Army locate the tribe. When he arrives, he finds the fort reoccupied by the Army. Because of his Sioux clothing, the soldiers open fire, killing Cisco before capturing Dunbar. He cannot prove his story as one of his soldiers stole his diary, refusing to help the Army hunt down the native tribes. He is charged with desertion and transported back east as a prisoner. Two Socks attempts to follow Dunbar but is shot dead by the soldiers. The Sioux tracks the convoy, killing the soldiers and freeing Dunbar. At the winter camp, he decides to leave with Stands with a Fist because his presence would endanger the tribe. As they leave, Dunbar and Kicking Bird exchange parting gifts. Smiles a Lot returns the diary, which he recovered during Dunbar's rescue. Wind in his hair proclaims his everlasting friendship to Dunbar. The U.S. troops search the mountains but cannot locate Dunbar or the tribe. The epilogue's text says that the last of the free Sioux surrendered at Fort Robinson, Nebraska 13 years later. That's the end of the movie. Dances with Wolves proved instantly popular, earning $184 million in the U.S. and Canadian box office and $424 million in total worldwide. As of December 7th, 2023, the film holds an approval rating of 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, based on 131 reviews, with an average of 8 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads, Dances with Wolves suffers from a simplistic view of the culture it attempts to honor, but the end result remains a stirring western whose noble intentions are often matched by its epic grandeur. Metacritic gave the film a score of 72 out of 100 based on 20 critical reviews, and indicating generally favorable reviews. CinemaScore reported that audiences gave the film a rare A+ grade. Dances with Wolves was named one of the top 10 films of the year, 1990, by over 115 critics and was named the best film of the year by 19 critics. The film's popularity and lasting impact on the image of Native Americans, members of the Lakota Sioux Nation held a ceremony in Washington, D.C. to honor Kevin Costner, Mary McDonnell, and Jim Wilson on behalf of the Indian Lakota Nation, explained by Floyd Westerman, who played Chief Ten Bears in the movie. Albert Whitehat, a Lakota elder who served as a cultural advisor on the film, adopted Costner into his family, and two other families adopted McDonnell and Wilson. Westerman continued that it is so they will become part of one family. At the 63rd Academy Awards ceremony in 1991, Dances with Wolves earned 12 Academy Award nominations and won 7, including Best Writing, Best Adapted Screenplay by Michael Blake, Best Director by Kevin Costner, and Best Picture. In 2007, the Library of Congress selected Dances with Wolves for preservation into the United States National Film Registry. The overall rating for this movie is a 95 out of 100. Like I stated before, the film was nominated for 12 Academy Awards. and won 7, which include Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Film Editing, Best Cinematography, Best Original Score, and Best Sound Mixing. The film also won a Golden Globe Award for Best Motion Picture Drama. It is one of only 4 westerns to earn the Oscar for Best Picture, the other 3 being Cimarron in 1931, Unforgiven in 1992, and No Country for Old Men in 2007. The film is credited as a leading influence for the revitalization of the Western genre of filmmaking in Hollywood. And as again, with a budget of $22 million to make, it did $424.2 million in the box office. This has been Joe Lum's movie review for this Friday.
Don't